So you'll be good for about
Okay,
30 minutes.
we're live. We're ready? We're on. Welcome to the Clutch Kick. This will be a interesting episode, I think. Luke has 26% battery, so...
And 26% blood alcohol.
I had a big day of drifting, boys. You know how it is in Queensland.
I have a 350 now. I do plenty of drifting too.
I was driving an S14 today. Remember when you had one?
Yeah, that's what we're actually discussing as you came on.
Okay. And yeah, so I got to prep because I got drifting tomorrow as well because Queensland. So yeah.
I thought you leave for America tomorrow.
Yeah, I go drifting in America on the weekend.
Yeah, remember he leaves here on the same day he arrives there, probably a couple of hours.
Oh, really?
I leave at 9 p.m. Saturday night, or 10 p.m. Saturday night, and I arrive in America at 9 p.m. Saturday night, and that's with a stop in Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we go straight to Walmart, and then go to the hotel, and then I wake up in the morning and I go drifting. So that's it.
Jesus, I'd be wrecked, I think.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah,
No,
I hate flying. I fucking hate flying.
It worked pretty well with a stop in Hawaii. So we figured if we sleep till Hawaii, and then it's only like 6 hours after Hawaii, stay awake, and then we sleep again. Yeah, it works out. Trust me.
Did you upgrade to business class with all your YouTube monies?
Look, I thought about it, but then I gave all my money to Bling because he got bashed. That's super shitty. You guys obviously heard about Bling getting attacked down in Melbourne.
Yeah,
yep.
I think we were talking about last night.
Yeah, super sucky. So yeah, that's where my upgrade money went.
Oh, so you end up selling the jet?
The what? Sorry.
The jet, your private jet. I thought.
Oh no! See, it's funny because I did a Q&A on my YouTube page, and I didn't mention the fact that I should have brought up all the rumors for the reasons I left Melbourne when I did that Q&A, like the ones where I was a drug dealer and I had a house in Sydney and I had to sell my house and blah blah blah. I was like, I had a house? Like, I had a house in Sydney? Like, if you own a house in Sydney, you've made it, right?
Yeah, or you're fucking broke and you owe the bank a lot of money, like some SA drifters.
Yeah, like the rent you'd be paying now, you could buy a really nice house in Queensland probably.
Yeah, probably. But the worst part's when you come home and somebody's knocked off your whole house.
What's that in Sydney?
No, Queensland.
In Queensland, just don't leave your house on a trailer.
Well, don't leave your house on a trailer. But anyway, boys, let's chat DCA. I've gone down to 25%, so.
All right, so you finally announced some date. Well, you haven't publicly announced dates for DCA yet.
What do you mean finally? 2020, like it's not even here yet. What are you worried about?
Well, I'm just saying, like you've announced some dates, but they're not public.
Yeah, but I could go and announce a bunch of mumbo jumbo dates and then change a bunch of them throughout the year. But that would be.
Now you got to change the venues too.
Yeah.
And change dates and venues, but I don't feel like that'd be professional. So I don't want to do that.
I heard it's highly professional.
Hi. Yes.
Hi, yes.
I don't know tech for it.
So,
only dates we are waiting on at this stage is Mount Gambier Council. So the dates that are up on the Drift Challenge Australia drivers page are all confirmed, bar our Mount Gambier date, and that's where the Calder dates penned on that date. So we're going to be working with Jason from Keep It Real. We're going to be working together on the Melbourne event, so it's going to be quite good. It's going to be a drift week again, but it'll be Melbourne, Mount Gambier. So with any luck, your car will finish Melbourne all mint, and then you can finish it at Gambier.
Oh shit! Didn't even realise it was a week apart. I just saw the months, and that's what I was looking at.
So I guess for people who listen that aren't part of the drivers page, if you intend on driving, find the drivers page and actually join the group. But 5-round series next year for the Pro Series. DCA only runs one level, not 2 levels. It's the state stuff that is run that will often run 2 levels. Well, I mean, like there's no amateur level. Everybody's in together, and trust me, anybody who is considering traveling interstate is probably good enough to drive pro.
Look, at the end of the day, the big difference in Australia, especially in that thing we were talking about before, the high thing, the biggest difference is the cars, realistically. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a big skill difference between 2 classes. And even with us introducing a Super Pro, the idea is not, the reason I called it Super Pro is it's just super cars, essentially. Like, we just want the craziest cars to be able to enter and people to be able to let their imaginations run wild and be able to do some crazy shit with cars that they haven't been able to do within the past because there hasn't been anywhere to take those cars.
Yeah.
And essentially I think about World Time Attack, and realistically the only reason, not the only reason, but World Time Attack's selling point is wild cars. You know what I mean? Like, it's boring as batshit to watch World Time Attack, and even the drifting side of it is usually not the best. You know what I mean? Like, I still have a little bit of fun when I've gone, but last year looked like, yeah. So yeah. So
it is an exhibition. World Time Attack is like an exhibition round. It's just showing off particular personalities or particular cars. It's alright. There's drifting sometimes, but it's not something about high skill.
Exactly, and it's not even that there's, I won't use last year as an example, but usually it's not like a lack of skill thing either. But I guess my main point being with World Time Attack is the actual Time Attack class. Like, you go there to check out the insane cars. You know what I mean? And I don't see why we couldn't have a drifting class in that same realm, because at the end of the day, even your FD cars still just resemble a regular car. You know what I mean? Like, they're not crazy by any means. Like, there's a million kids that have FD spec cars. You know what I mean? You get your Wisefab catalog. You know what I mean? You throw some money at a Roush engine, and you've got a FD car. You know what I mean? So I think it would be cool to let people sort of, loosen the rules a bit, let people mid-mount their motors if they want to and things like that, and just sort of let it run wild a little bit, because, you know what I mean, some people just want to build insane cars, so why not?
Yeah, and the reality is it'll be sorted out on the track anyway, so.
Exactly.
So, I guess while we're speaking about Super Pro, 3 rounds of Super Pro, Pheasantwood in New South Wales, Simmons Plains and Calder Park. Oh,
yeah.
No, you've just wait. Sorry, you've gone to 4 now with those guys.
Calder Park, it was a little bit up in the air when I initially put that post up, but just because Jason was busy with their event, so we didn't have a chance to chat a lot before then. So it's still quite up in the air. But we had quite a lengthy chat, and we've come to an agreement. And look, there's going to be a DCA Keep It Reet in Melbourne. So, we wanted to touch on, that's 5 states in 1 year. So I think that's, Australia hasn't had something like that in a long time. So
yeah, it's definitely been a while. I think the last time would have been, no, have you? Yeah, you've done a 5 round before, haven't you? No, only the 4, the year that you did. So I guess most of those tracks, when it comes to Super Pro anyway, other than maybe Tasmania, and depending on what you decide to do with Calder Park, crazy amounts of speed aren't going to be the name of the game anyway.
No, so Calder Park with that, sorry, not Calder, well, at Calder as well, but in Simmons Plains, we'll be using the big corner.
Yep.
So it'll be a very, very fast piece of track for Super Pro.
And that'll probably be the fastest of the calendar for that.
Yeah, that'll be well and truly meaty 4th gear sort of thing. So
yeah, that's cool. Where's the start line?
So that's what we want to see. You know what I mean? Like, if we're gonna have like a pro class, like we're gonna have a crazy class. Like, let's just throw the rule book away essentially, and let's see how crazy people can go, how fast, what tires, like send it.
Yeah, and again,
And
you got to do a
say
lap.
that tire rule, like, oh, it's completely unlimited. It's like, dude, have you seen FIA? Like, they're all running R888s. Like, there's no tire rule.
Yeah, they're better than the tires that the cars are running at World Time Attack.
Oh, 100%.
Like, I mean, better than the tires they're running in Time Attack, like the actual Time Attack part of the event.
Oh, legit.
So, yeah.
Yeah, look, why not?
And the reality is, you've still got to make them last 2 laps. Are you going to be on Are you going to keep it on a 2-lap? Only 2 laps for
Oh yeah, I would never in some stupid thing where they need to do 4 laps. That would be ridiculous. Yeah, no. That would kind of defeat the purpose of building an insane car, you know what I mean? So that's that aside, I think it was actually funny. Someone made a comment like, "Oh, he just made that class so his own car could drive it," and I was like, "My S13 is like legal for anything. I don't understand." Like that was that's funny. And there was multiple people that are like, "Oh, he's just made this class so his S13 can drive in it." It's like I've said multiple times, I will not enter my own events. I just don't think it's morally right.
But it's also we laughed at that too because it was sort of, I think we had spoken about it a little bit last week, and we're like, that car is way more body than like there's more body in that car than cars that pass in pretty much every other comp in the world. So
100%. It's your typical, like, I was at Queensland Raceway today, and there was probably another 20, 30 cars that would have that same thing. So yeah, it was entertaining.
So I guess when you made the decision to go with the Super Pro class, are there any specific cars in Australia that you've got in mind that you would like to see come out and do it?
Well, definitely, obviously, Mitch, who is a friend of mine, is immediately keen as hell. Who else have we got? We've got another car that was previously, or another guy that was previously part of the High thing. And he also is building a crazy new car that, he sent me a picture of, a box with 2 sequentials in it, and, like he's super keen, and it's I think he's intending to run about 1,300 horsepower.
Holy
brand new build chassis. So spare sequential, like crazy stuff. We've had more expressions of interest than I expected, to be fair. So I think that's been pretty cool.
And then I guess with the Super Pro, is the idea to try and get those guys to sign up for a full season? That's the big push with those guys.
I figure if you're super pro, you know what I mean? Like if you really want to push that image and build a crazy car and, push it to the limit, I don't see why you can't commit to 4 events for an entire year.
Yeah.
With more than enough due warning, Pheasantwood round 1 is, you probably have it right there in front of you.
Yeah, June 12 and 13.
You know what I mean? Like, if you can't get your shit together by June, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you've got more than 6 months.
More than 6 months, a car can be built happily in that time. And then on top of that, Tasmania, there's plenty of room between that event, Tasmania, and then a smart person would potentially leave their car in Melbourne and then do the Melbourne Mount Gambier rounds to save costs as well.
Okay, it's a good way to run an event, because then instead of traveling back and forth, maybe
exactly
2,000 or 3,000 k's apart.
Jesus, Luke just got really small.
And young.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say, E.G.?
I actually came across some photos of Luke from about 10 years ago at Oran Park that I'd taken, and he looks quite different now.
Yes. Well, look, I guess I think it's going to be. I'm really, really stoked about, as far as I'm aware, after speaking to Pheasant guys, and like I said to you, Greg, part of the reason I was going down there to the Rev Day was to suss out the venue and sort of. It's a really nice venue. I don't think it's going to be fantastic from a spectator point of view, but who knows? I know that we are talking with some of our friends overseas and people that do want to come and do a lot more DCA events. We've got a huge amount of interest from internationals when it comes to DCA now. Like, especially after Adam being here and his coverage of the events and everything, like, we got a lot of dudes that just want to come and do some DCA stuff. So that's super, super rad.
Well, and I think that the thing with Pheasant Wood is, I think pretty much by the time the DCA round rolls up on us, I'm pretty sure that they're trying to do on-site accommodation of some variety, and that should be sort of done by middle of next year, I'm pretty sure. So that will make things a whole...
Yeah. He did mention something about it, so yeah.
That sort of thing's happening depending on the section that you guys decide to run. I know what you've sort of got intended at this stage, but depending on what decisions are made, there's a little bit more spectator area than what you think, and most people who have been there would think. It seems like viewing a few sections. Some of the sections are a bit shitty to see, but there's just multiple spots dotted around the track that you can see. Yeah. If you run a couple of those corners, you can see it from 3 or 4 spots.
One section there that I would love to run that I can't just because there's terrible spectators. Yeah. But I would love to run that downhill right-hand kink into the left and then the right in Banks corner. Yeah. The one where I adjusted your line when you weren't going to link it. That one.
Yeah, and that's probably the best section for competition, but spectating at this stage, probably not the greatest spot. But
I mean, between now and then, things may change, and if they do, that's the section we'll be running.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the other section is still very, very good and very, very fun.
Well, and I know that their intention is to sort of close to that section that you'd ideally run, that looking at doing some extensions, back down into the forest. So who knows what will end up there between now and then. Those guys at that track don't seem to fuck around with anything. If they say they're going to do something, it seems to happen fairly promptly. So
yeah, look, he's not short a coin. Let's face
it. Not in any way, shape, or form.
No.
And I guess for as a Sydney sider, that's the closest DCA event that New South Wales has ever had. It's been a long hiatus since DCA's had any events in New South Wales. You had the 2 events at Rally.
Yeah, look, Rally resurfacing, which is fantastic, obviously, for drifting, but it's been in a pretty bad shape for a long time. So hopefully it does get resurfaced like they plan to, but that's the main reason I hadn't been out there is, I don't really want to run an event where there was potholes in the track and cars are going to get broken just because the track is not well kept. But it looks like they're doing resurfacing soon, so meant to be doing in January, I heard. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, hopefully that means their local scene grows a fair bit again, because their local scene seems to have died off a fair bit, and their stable of guys seems to have sort of dwindled a little bit.
I think it's the standard thing you see, guys. You know what I mean? It's the drifters are involved and help it grow. And then when it gets big enough, the people that own the track sort of push those guys by the wayside so they don't have to share any of the money or whatever, and they run it into the ground again. Yeah. It's a cycle, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, so I guess let's roll through the calendar a little bit and just give us sort of your idea on, at this stage, where your head's at and how things are gonna play out. So for the first time in a while, round one at Archerfield, 2-day event, which has been a while since you've had a 2-day event at Archie. So 25th, 26th of April. That's pretty close to Easter, right?
It is after Easter. It's Anzac Day weekend.
Okay. As an Aussie, I should know that shit.
It's going to be a Saturday. Saturday from 11 until Saturday from 1 p.m. until 10 p.m. at night.
Yeah.
And then it will be 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. on Sunday.
Yeah. So bust out pretty much as much practice and stuff as you can on Saturday, and then probably a 60-minute to win it, and then probably qualifying the next morning.
Qualifying will end up on the Saturday.
Yeah, just last thing before everybody goes home.
Yeah.
Ideas on any changes to the track before that happens, or everything you've spent big money this year, so
It is definitely possible, but we'll play it by ear.
Yeah. Restriction on car numbers for that event?
It'll be about 40.
Yeah.
That's not. Yeah. I think you've had more in the past, haven't you?
We have had more in the past, but it just becomes a bit chaotic, and I'd rather it be better for 40 people rather than chaotic for 50 sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it's Archie, so the line will, whichever layout's used, will probably be Luke doing some dumb shit 2 days before the event, having a play. So, and maybe you'll go down the road and steal one of those Stadium Super Truck jumps or something like that, and just put it in the middle.
Look, anything's possible.
And then, as Luke said earlier, Pheasantwood in New South Wales, 12th and 13th of June. If you're coming from
Saturday.
Pack your winter woolies. It may snow. It did snow there this year, so just be ready for that. But yeah, beautiful venue, good pit area. Who knows what you decide to do with layout? We can run both directions. Plenty of areas to run a comp. So, and with the prospect that the track might have even been extended by the time the comp rolls around. So, and plenty of opportunities to get on that track. Speaking of that track, over the weekend they just opened track day, and I think they had 5 cars show up for Sunday, and 3 of those were drift cars, and pretty much had the run of the place to themselves for the day. So,
that's very cool.
Really good things happening there. Then round 3, Simmons Plains. We touched on that earlier, 26th and 27th of September. I would imagine DCA layout will be fairly standard, starting from partway up the front straight somewhere.
Yeah, our regular layout for regular pro, and then a extended layout for Super Pro.
Yeah. Will you try and do anything different at Pheasantwood between Super Pro and Pro?
That's the aim, yes. We intend to.
Yeah, so be ready for that. You're probably going to have to try and do a 50-50 grind up that concrete embankment.
Look, part of the idea as well is obviously we don't have a cage rule for DCA, and that comes into it a lot when we design a drift layout, because, knowing that we don't have roll cages required and things like that is where we actively make adjustments and have a thought process when we do a layout where there won't be any huge accidents. And even to this point, with DCA now been running over 5 years, we've had to use a flatbed like 3 times in 5 years.
Yeah, but that's what happened.
Everything else has been able to be flat towed or just driven off the track. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, stop inviting Blake Patterson to events. Then you wouldn't have to tow anybody off the track.
But you know what I mean? Like, that's pretty crazy statistics, really. Like, I was at Queensland Raceway today, and the flatbed was used like 5 times.
Yeah, that's probably comes with wheel spaces falling off.
Yeah. But you consider, you know what I mean? Like, we've run crazy events, you know what I mean? Even Mount Gambier, like, everybody thinks it's going to write their cars off. Like, we've only ever once had to have a car, like, flatbedded off of there. And even then, it could have been driven. It was just a puss.
Yeah. and then you go to a rev day and a car ends up on its roof. So like, shit happens everywhere. So
Yeah. So look, but it's just where we've been tried to be smart with our layouts and make sure that they're not crazy from a point of view of people crashing, and that's why the no cage thing works. But with Super Pro, we can obviously go a bit more crazy with layouts because that's not a concern anymore.
yeah, I guess for Tassie as well, camping available at the track as normal.
Yes, camping available at the track. And the biggest thing, guys, with anybody looking into doing a series this year, you really have to book. You have to book the boat. You can't decide last minute that you're going to go to Tasmania. It just does not work like that. You need to be organised.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to make it look attractive. So if you really are on a tight budget, like you know, people have already booked.
Yeah, so they would like message me and be like, "Is the date 100%?" I'm like, "It's 110%." They're like, "Cool, I'm booking the boat." I was like, "Wicked, awesome." So
yeah, anybody who's super budget conscious but wants to do a full pool, you can do the boat on the Friday night to arrive in, and you can make it to the track in plenty of time for drivers briefing. Considering all the locals tend to get there fairly early, there tends to be a massive line out the front anyway to try and bump in. So you can arrive on the Saturday morning, and you have plenty of time once track activities are done to sort of get back to the boat and be back on the mainland on Monday. It means you sort of miss out on some of the hangouts and partying, but if you can't get that amount of time off work, it really is possible to make it there on the Saturday morning, drive the 2 days, camp at the track, and you don't even have to pay for a night of accommodation other than camping at the track. So that can be made to work. And then, as Luke said, the following week after that is the round at Calder Park. I know.
Didn't say that.
Month.
Sorry. Oh no, this one's the following month. Sorry, I'm looking at dates. And that's hurting my brain. Sorry, the following month is Calder Park round.
Calder will be a Friday, Saturday, and the intent. Basically, that event's going to be the week before Mount Gambier. It's just us confirming a Mount Gambier date and then making the Melbourne date work. And the Melbourne will be a Friday, Saturday. So
pretty much no matter where you end up with Gambier, you're just going to do the Friday, Saturday before Gambier.
Exactly right.
Intentions for track being run for Calder Park?
I'm really still tossing up between main track or dome at the moment, because the traditional layout is great and everything, but at night the traditional layout isn't as ideal. So we're sort of tossing up between a killer crossover sort of layout, or Jason has a few more ideas, and then obviously we could stick with a traditional FD layout as well.
Please don't do that.
Is that for pro or just for both?
Sorry, is that for pro or for both? Same layout?
It would probably be the same for both.
Okay.
Yeah, just please anything but the FD layout.
Yeah. And then Mount Gambier for Pro and Super Pro will be using the layout as we used it this year.
So you'll still have that extra left-hander in there for the regular comp?
So yeah. Anyway, obviously Mount Gambier has evolved a lot over the last few years, and look, the layout last year was where I would have liked it from the start. We've had to sort of massage our way in. I won't lie, that retard that did skid on the grass is affecting this year's event, or 2020's event, but it's something we should be able to work through. So,
did you end up finding out who did it?
Of course not. So, yeah. look, at the end of the day, everybody's going to want to find out who it is when all the cars and trailers have to be parked kilometres away.
Yeah. Yeah, when
So-
everybody's parked up near the bloody caravan park or some shit.
Yeah, at the closest.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It is what it is, you know? So, yeah.
Have you got any? Oh, Jesus Christ, those kids are noisy as. Have you got any ideas roughly on price or anything for the two classes yet?
I have not. Something we will finalise before the new year. Just obviously with the States this Saturday and a lot of Christmas dinners and things like that before we go. It's been hectic.
Yeah, so he's going to charge more because he's got to pay for his trip to the States.
No, but
So
that's all money, bro. That's YouTube money.
Yeah.
No, I sold like 3 cars in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, but that's not money you can earn again, sort of thing, though. You can't just keep selling cars because then you wouldn't have any cars.
Heaps. I've still got plenty. I could continue selling cars.
Yeah, just sell the wife and kids and the cars that are hers. So, I guess yeah. So, Super Pro is no drop around. Expected to be at all 4 rounds. If you want to be in the hunt for the championship. DCA Pro Series is normal in case guys don't want to make the trek to Tassie or a date doesn't fit in with the 5 rounds. Drop around as always, like how it's always been, but only drop 1 round.
And we have scheduled it so we're not anywhere near World Time Attack. We're also not anywhere near that high event we were talking about before. So, you know, there's no clashes other than
Invitational.
States out for the 2020 thing in Northern Territory yet. But yeah, it seems unfortunately we have conflicted with those guys. But you know, Darwin is literally on the other side of the world, so there's nothing we can do about that. Unfortunately, like Pheasantwood already has a lot of dates booked out, and the reason it's a Friday, Saturday is because most of their Sundays for the year seem to be booked out.
Yeah. Have you got your 3 judges picked out for the year yet?
I don't know where he is on your computer, but one of them's whether he likes it or not.
I'm sort of in the middle. Man, Skype is as funny as at the moment. So yeah, I'm sort of floating around in the middle at the moment between you guys.
Is bum sort of at your left ear?
Is what, sorry?
His bum is at about your left ear on the stream.
he's not concerned about that.
And then your other 2, any decisions yet? No?
Say that again, sorry?
Any decisions on your other 2?
Nothing confirmed as such.
Yeah.
You're like, you gotta drive. You actually have a car that you got a car that drives now consistently.
Yeah, fucking slow.
No, you'll be right.
Look,
Because
it's the ultimate excuse not to drive.
it's not about speed.
It being slow. What do you mean it's not about speed? You're way meaner to me than everybody else.
Are you about to say a 350Z is slow? Because
No,
I was at in a stock ass 335 and it wasn't slow.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be okay on that track. All right, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will.
None of the standard courses. Yeah, none of the standard courses require like that much power. Like you've got more than enough. Like when you launch really hard.
I still can't keep up with you though.
That's after
on
I get
start line.
moving. Like it's hard to keep up with you off the line.
Greg, it's not the car, mate.
Yeah, everybody else is holding me back.
Yeah. But I will, if there's any last questions, because I'll have to wrap up my end of this, Andrew, and food's come off the barbecue.
So, and then, I think we clarified it last week after I asked you, for anybody who's intending on doing the comps, Pro is, the regular Pro, not Super Pro, is where the trip to D1NZ will be won, not in Super Pro.
Absolutely.
And then think that's pretty much it. If anybody has inquiries about whether a car will fit into the rules for Super Pro, shoot them straight through to the DCA page. I guess we were debating it last week. Do the cars have to look like cars for Super Pro?
Yeah, so I did catch a little bit of that, whether you're talking about the death carts and things like that.
Yeah.
Realistically, we don't really want open wheel cars because of the nature of drift. Like
Yeah.
the last thing we need is a bunch of cars doing flips every time they're door to door. Like you got to have a door to be door to door. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, we're thinking more like Stewie's going to show up with something that looks
With-
like
yeah,
a fucking
a death
Cybertruck
cart.
or something.
And then put a
Look,
door on the side of it.
Stewie will run amok with this rule book. So he does anyway. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I just mean like do a death cart and then just like weld aluminium sheeting to the outside of it or something like that.
I think more from it has to resemble a car. Yes. It has to resemble a car that's in production, not some imaginary fucking cyber shitbox. You know, maybe make it look like a DeLorean.
Yeah.
But it is, basically the idea is to resemble a car in the same context that a Mustang V8 supercar looks like a Mustang.
Oh,
like it,
those are
Yeah.
hideous. They
Yeah.
don't even
But
look
just-
like a Mustang.
you know what I mean, though, like
Yeah,
that.
I know.
Just some lights, some tail lights.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's pretty much it. So you can get back to your barbecue. Just if people have inquiries about either side of it, just hit up the DCA page and don't be afraid to ask. I think Luke would rather have you ask dumb questions and look like you're actually going to show up than not show up.
100%.
Yeah, look, I think this is going to be probably the biggest year of DCA. Well, it is the biggest year of DCA ever, and really, it'll be. Let's see how it goes. Get behind it, and let's get it going, because I think this is sort of the next step towards, getting drift big again and having more drivers events. I think the last 12 months sort of lacked drivers events, so drivers competitions. I should say. Yeah. All right. Well, we should let you
Get some food.
go off.
Have a good trip in America.
Yeah, don't do anything too dumb. Don't get arrested.
Nah, do dumb shit because it's more entertaining.
I can't promise anything, guys, but I'll try.
It's
Don't put
Luke.
those
He
videos up till
will
you
do
get home.
something. He will do something.
Of course
Luke
he will.
does not hold back.
We need to find the real Mexican Moon Cartel.
Yeah, I would imagine if you make it to Vegas, then for sure you're going to be doing some.
Well, I'm going to Vegas pretty soon. I'm actually going to go catch up with Forrest just after Christmas. So, yeah.
Yeah, and he's not afraid to put videos online, so I'm excited to see what comes with that.
All right, guys. Thanks for the
Okay.
chat.
All right,
Thank you.
too easy. Thanks, Luke. Oh fuck! What a wanker.
Oh man.
Well, it's now the quiet stream.
Yeah, I know. Fuck, it was loud there. Hang on, let me just
Yeah.
stop the
The volume.
No, not the volume, just the video. Yeah, this new Skype sucks. There you go. Now people can see your pretty face. So, it sounds exciting.
Yeah. Look, did you know you were judging?
I do now.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's as much like it's good that there's two series running, like the Pro and the Super Pro. I just think that what you'll see in Super Pro will be, I'm hoping it'll be like absolutely insane, which would be really interesting to watch, just to see. Like, I'm just imagining, especially around Simmons Plains, like I think we were talking about last week, like we'd probably use almost all of the corners except two.
The hairpin, yeah.
Yeah,
The hairpin and the back sweeper.
yeah, and that's it. So that'll be such a fast, crazy
Well,
course. Yeah.
but I think the reality is I think for Luke, I think Pro will still be the centerpiece, because I think that's where the better battles are still going to happen in Pro. With hope that Super Pro will have some battles that are as good as, if not better than Pro. But when you're going that much horsepower, the fact that open sort of grip style rules, you could end up with battles with cars 15 minutes apart, purely based off the fact that somebody might be crazy enough to run some drag radials, but shit, when that tire lets go, that crash is going to be sick too. So, but you know what I mean? Like it's that style of event. You know, sort of what FD was, or what FD top 32 can be like, or early battles in D1 and stuff like that. You know that speed and grip means more separation and things like that when there are mistakes, but the consequences are also higher because you're going a fuckload quicker. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I'll be interested to see if anybody gets fucking airborne over the crest at Gambia.
Yeah, so I think we're talking about that. You think they'll go get airborne the normal way?
I don't know, but
I reckon the backwards way. No, I reckon backwards.
See, I haven't driven the backwards way, but
oh yeah, you weren't there. Yeah, I reckon you get airborne backwards.
Yeah, well, backwards would probably be better to get airborne because I think there's sort of more of a straight runoff area.
I don't think it's better. Well,
you sort of miss the trees and shit though.
Yeah, if the barriers are set the right way,
far enough back,
then you'd miss it.
Yeah, where the normal way, if you get really unloaded, then you're smacking the wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I'm interested to see if there's some good fabricators who are starting to look at jumping in their garage and start doing some stuff, because I don't think anybody's going to do anything as dumb as what we're thinking to start with, like building a chassis from the ground up and trying to make it look presentable.
I think Connor's trying to might do that if he has time and money.
And do a rear drive.
As long as it's interesting and entertaining enough.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, look, there's some guys in the comments saying Ricky White from Queensland, Jake O'Mara from wherever the fuck he lives now. You know, there are guys who are those guys have cars or are building cars that are more than capable to sort of have a play on those sort of tires. So yeah, definitely keen. I think because the season's so far away, I think it's just a matter of the DCA team keeping some hype in the event and just continue reminding people that it's happening, because drifters are drifters and we know what drifters can be like. And yeah, just keep momentum going. I think the round in New South Wales will do wonders for the series. You know, what is starting to become a really big market is getting a taste of it, and the fact that it doesn't look like there's much else going on locally other than the couple of rounds of high tech on South Circuit. So I think that'll get some people intrigued, and I think I would imagine we will see a fair few guys who might not normally do comps potentially show up to that just to see what the fuck it's all about.
Yeah, well, I think there's a few people out there who in this area, like locally to us, that are very interested to actually compete, but they're sort of worried about the proximity, as in like, because I mean, for us, we've driven all the way to Queensland and Adelaide or South Australia. It's fine, but these are the guys that are kind of like, they might have a taste at another competition like Figure 8 or something, but they're just not that they're not confident enough to go that far yet. So this will actually, I think, it's good. Like, it's close to the start of the year, so those guys will actually get a taste, and they'll be able to figure things out a bit easier, because Pheasantwood's about 2 hours away from most places in Sydney, so it's pretty close.
Well, yeah. I'm almost central to the city, and it's less than 2 hours to the door. So if you're just on the northern beaches, it shouldn't be much more than 2 hours to the door. So, and that's probably the worst drive that you can do to try and get down. So, I think it'll definitely be some interesting guys come out of the woodworks to come to Pheasantwood, I would say. And I think even just the fact that, you know, the Rev event gave a lot of guys in New South Wales a taste of the 2-day event style thing with some social in the middle, and I think guys are more and more keen for more of that. So it should also help bring some crowd. And I spoke to Luke a little bit, you know, in chat over the last couple of weeks, and Pheasant Wood thing would be, you pretty much, you can run the layout and then skid the rest of the track or mark sections and stuff outside of competition time. So it's, it's the same as the Tour de Rev later in the year, but just with a comp thrown in there. So definitely good. And then Calder will just be, it'll be interesting to see how things go with a bit of a changing of the guard down in Victoria at the moment, and the fact that Calder Park does throw up so many layouts and sections that can be run. I would love to go back and do the DCA layout, but yeah, at night time that section is terrifying.
I can't see at night. Oh yeah, it was really bad at the back at the start, wasn't it?
Yeah. And when you're trying to drive back around to grid up and all that, like, it's fucking terrifying. Like, it's pitch black.
Yeah. Chop did ask a question a bit earlier. I mean,
why does FD layout
what's wrong
suck?
with in your opinion, why does it suck?
We did it at the end of the DCA event that I did down there, and it's like, other than the big entry, once the car's settled, there's not much. You either get the right line through the first corner or you don't, and after that it's not that difficult. Honestly, if you hit the right line off the bank and you fuck up the next section, you probably need to attend some more practice days.
Yep, but that was for like a class of car, which is, the competition was international. Like that is meant to be more difficult, and the entry is higher.
I think they
high speed.
Yeah,
so
I also think they used a section of track that was going to work for them. It was the right price and easy for spectators and all that stuff too.
So the only thing I wish was the transition was a bit smoother, because it's just the angle. Like if you don't get the angle right going over, then it causes other issues. So like, if just the potential for something going wrong in a battle is consequences could be bad, kind of thing, potentially, because of the the speed that they're coming off and the direction they're going. If it was a little bit smoother and it wasn't so aggressive, then it'd be more. I think it'd be more ideal.
Yeah, there's also the crossover layout and a few of the layouts running sections of the main circuit backwards and then onto the main straight through one of the cut-through roads and everything. Look like pretty fun layouts with some extra transitions and stuff thrown in, with a fairly decent spectator access area. So hopefully,
you run the bowl.
What do you mean? No. I think if it's not the FD layout or the DCA layout, I think it'll be running down the back straight backwards into that, what would be the left-hander, that's the access road, and then hang a right onto the main straight.
Okay.
And then cut down into and then you can have spectators up on that mound.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I remember there was a few rounds of Calder. I don't even know if you can. I don't know if you can actually use the seating on that track. Near the main track, near the
bowl.
Yeah, near the bowl.
The top corner. What would be the last corner? You can use that. Yeah, you can use that seating.
Okay.
Because the drag strip was running properly again for a little while, but you've still got all that grass and everything around there too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, there's heaps of options. That's mainly the reason I say I'd rather not see FD layout run, because there's just countless layouts to be run there that can avoid just doing a two-corner track that has a huge emphasis on having the first corner right. And honestly, if Pheasant Wood ends up being not having any other extensions done, it's a very similar layout to what Pheasant Wood's going to end up being. Fast entry into a flick along a wall with two hairpins, so except Pheasant Woods will be better because it'll flow better. So
yeah,
So yeah, the reality is, who wants to go and do the same track basically twice? Except the second place you go to is a little bit, but the second place you go to is a fucking goat track instead of like a rich guy's playground.
Well, looking forward to what actually gets decided in terms of track, but I didn't mind the FD layout, except for that bump. I think they should have pushed the when FD did it, they should have pushed the start line back a little bit more to make them run along the wall a bit longer. But,
yeah, that track also, for anybody who hasn't done it, it can be really hard to pick up the entry point just because everything looks the same.
Yep. Yeah, that's why having the cones and markers along the wall makes it a lot easier. As long as they're consistent.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
always try to use markers when I'm drifting, but sometimes the cones move and or the lights move. Just markers move, which is annoying.
Yeah, I guess if we get stuck on FD layout, you could start the regular comp from the Thunderdome sign, and you could do the Super Pro from all the way back where the pit lane ends and joins the bowl. Just send them flogging down the track at 250k an hour.
Yeah.
only run it as an entry and making the first corner to the outside zone. Then after that, it doesn't matter because it'll be lucky to have two cars still in one piece or make that corner anyway.
They're meant to be spastic cars. Like, I have high expectations from that class.
Start them on the back straight, drift the bottom part of the bowl all the way around, and then continue flogging down the front straight, and then big entry.
Yeah. Okay.
Done. Yeah, I guess the funny part is with the season sort of coming back, there's a lot of guys who haven't been around through DCA, and there's so much familiarity in the series calendar, but then there's so much that could be new as well, or there is a lot of new as well. So, I don't know. I'm excited. The fact that Archie's no longer a dirt bowl for pits, no excuses for people saying that it's not a good venue to host a national level comp. Pheasant Wood's a beautiful circuit with heaps of potential, and again, a fucking great pit area that you're not going to be picking your teeth out with dirt. Tassie's going to have two layouts thrown in there for the two classes, and Tassie really is a good trip. If you haven't done it and you're happy to spend the money, then definitely worth a trip. Quarter Park with the guys who are helping organise it. Again, familiarity, but potentially so many possibilities, and then finishing at Gambia, which is always a good time. So, is there enough people in Australia with money for those cars? Well,
yes.
What cars are we talking about? Like, you could have a car like Chop and just put big fucking semis on the back, or just big fucking tires on the back of it.
100% enough money. Enough people with enough money to do that class. Because I'm pretty sure there's the limit for Super Pro is not that high.
16.
16. And that's it. It's not like a couple more. It's not 20, and then you don't qualify. No, okay, 16.
16. Well, that was the original announcement. Was 16. So. And again, as I said, like the reality is, it just comes down to the biggest change in Super Pro really comes down to how much grip you want to run in a car, and how much grip you're willing to run into a car, or how much grip you want to risk running in a car. When it comes to the actual competitive side, then the rest of it is gazebos, racing suits, all that sort of stuff. But that's all sort of stuff that if you're serious in pro and wanting to pick up any potential sponsors or just look like a put together package, then you'd be doing anyway. So, yeah.
Yep. So it's not that hard. Besides the car itself, everything else is that they required isn't too expensive.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what the widest tire you could get would be before it starts creeping into semi-slick prices or expensive semi-slick prices. So I'd be
What do you
interested to
mean?
compare like a 305 or a something stupidly wide, just normal radial,
Yeah.
against a 265 in a Valino or something like that, and just see what your grip difference is, because it might end up being more economic to run a much wider rim with really big wide street tires on it than even running a semi slick. I think Mitch Pullen intending to run V8 supercar wets is not that exciting, really. Like Bolger used to run on them, and they didn't. The only reason it seemed to set the world on fire compared to everybody else is at the time a lot of guys were still running radials, but as soon as everybody ended up on R1Rs and stuff like that, they kicked the shit out of the V8 supercar semi slicks, because those tires are literally designed to be kept cold. They need water to actually work. The tread blocks are massive and fall apart. Where any modern drift semi slick is closed tread patterns with very big blocks, not small blocks. So it's
Bolger was
so,
a standout for me, so I didn't really watch him drive.
yeah. But I just know that that's what he was running.
Yeah, so that's like the Mustangs. What you're talking about? What Jake said.
What do you mean?
So the Mustangs in America.
Oh yeah, just running.
Yeah, they run
Yeah,
wider
that's still
radials, street
yeah,
tires.
yeah. I think they're on like a 305 or something like that. They bumped the weight of the car up, and that was also because what Nitto was offering them in the NT05 is just that tread pattern is so shallow. Like those tires would be fucked in half a lap. Like I could put them on the 350 and they probably wouldn't last very long.
Yeah, we were saying that it didn't. Here they got twice the amount of
Yeah,
track
laps
time.
and stuff out of.
Yeah, compared to what they were running before. I don't even know.
Yeah.
How much they get? Because sometimes some of the people said they get 2 laps out of a pair of tires, and that's it.
Yeah. That's just shitload of wheel speed.
Yeah.
Heat and wheel speed. So yeah, I think that's the main thing for people not to be scared of is just. And as I said, I think really the only track that might be a bit of a runaway when it comes to the tires will be the layout run for Super Pro in Tassie. I think everything else will still be fairly tight when it comes to run up and all that sort of stuff, and the corners themselves. You can still only drive a corner so fast. Like mid-corner speed and stuff like that is still going to be sort of reaches its limit to a certain degree. So, yeah, I still just don't think. I think a well set up car is going to do better than just tires when it comes to every layout, other than potentially Tassie. So,
Yeah, because you wouldn't get maybe colder would be similar to Tassie depending on the layout.
yeah, but only on but that really comes down to putting power to the ground on the run up. But if you can stay with them in drift, then they shouldn't pull away from you in drift. But Tassie up that front straight, if somebody's out gripping you, they're going to pull away from you.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if anyone does anything aero-wise for Tassie.
You'd want to take aero off for Tassie. I don't think you'd want a big fucking wing on it for a corner that fast.
I wonder what they'd actually do for aero in Tassie, because it'd be fast. So I think aero would affect.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. 100% it would affect. That's why you'd want to fucking take that shit off. Like, I don't think you'd want a wing trying to straighten up the car and do all that sort of stuff. So, but
More
yeah,
grip, more speed.
Yeah, look, if anybody knows anybody, or if there's anybody that's intending on building a car, like a car that might actually happen for Super Pro, and it's exciting, please let us know, and we'd love to to have a bit of a chat to them on this. So just keen to see what sort of things are going to come out of the woodwork. If it's just a normal car with, see, I don't think low downforce but big end plates even on Tassie is going to make a big difference. The first two corners are fairly shallow. They're not big angle corners. You're just carrying a shitload of speed through the sweeper on the front straight, and then over the crest you're off throttle and not carrying a crap load of angle early on, and then you sort of pitch on the angle late to then try and flick it back. So I don't think end plates and all that sort of stuff are going to make a huge difference. It's not. I think end plates would actually help more at, say, a Calder Park or something like that, if on an FD layout where you're trying to throw the car well past
big
90
once.
More than Tassie, where you're still on good angle, but it's still sort of a medium angle with just a fuckload of throttle. So, and then a big chuck over the crest, but still not necessarily a backwards chuck. So
you can start them at the hairpin, and then they'll be able to get a bit more angle through the sweeper.
Start them at the hairpin.
Yeah, I'll have enough speed then. They'll be able to get more angle.
That left, the first left-hander, like the sort of second last corner of the whole circuit, that's deceptively like deep, that corner. Like that's more than a 90. That's like a good sort of 100 and something degree corner. So you lose a lot of speed off the back straight. Have you driven Tassie?
Yeah, I drove a car down there. Remember?
I can't remember.
Were you there that year?
Nah, I only did the 1 year.
Was it the first time or the second time DCA went to Tas?
No, it would have been like the second or third.
Okay, yeah, because I drove my car down the first year.
Yeah, no, you weren't driving that year.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you flew in.
Okay.
Jake wants to see how many cars will be running meth. That's probably a rule that we should get Luke to clarify, is what fuels are allowed. I would imagine that meth would probably be banned.
Is that the one that burns clear? As in, like, you can't sit there? Yeah, I doubt it. It's just too dangerous.
I think you can run water meth as injection to cold charge your intake temps and stuff like that, but I can't imagine pure meth being allowed.
Because I think there'd probably be regulations to say if we do run ethanol, you'd need to have the thermal cameras in each pit area.
Yeah, can't run meth on circuits. And I think they've even banned it from burnouts now too. Or they're looking at banning it from burnouts. So I think it's drag cars only now.
Oh, okay.
Well, because a lot of guys were just dumping, like setting their cars up at certain RPM to dump fuel, so that when they really got on it, that it would just start those massive fires and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I think even if you could put additives in, I have a feeling it'd be hard to police. It's probably more the insurance risk and.
That's what I imagine. Well, and pretty much if you're breathing it in, it's burning your eyes and doing all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, still a spectator family event. So, anything else you sort of want to cover?
Yeah, in regards to this DCA
Just
stuff.
anything? In regards to anything?
In regards to anything. So I think most of the dates for a big chunk of events for Australia have been announced.
Yeah, we sort of spoke about that last week.
Now, because I think DCA is one that we'd heard about, but we're really, really waiting to see dates and venues.
What we might do is take a screenshot and share it in the community page. We don't want to put it on the main page yet because it's still not locked in. But for anybody interested, that way, we can put on the post that the last two rounds aren't 100% locked in, but the first three are locked in and happening. So, other than that, I think this is our last show for the year.
Sounds like it.
Christmas next week on Wednesday, and then New Year's the following Wednesday, and then we'll sort of see when, if, what we get up to next year. This is the end of our second year of doing this shit.
Yeah.
This year was definitely a way more lazy year than
Yeah.
than last year.
I reckon next year is going to be pretty full on drift wise, just for you and
hence
me.
why,
Yeah.
hence why I wouldn't mind having my Wednesdays back. But we'll see how we're going with it all, and yeah, we'll see what motivation's like once we start kicking it. Originally, I was planning on not doing too much other than local stuff, but maybe I'll have to do 3 interstate trips.
I still want to get out to Talem as well.
Yeah, I'm just feeling that's probably not going to happen for me this year, but we will see.
Or this coming year.
Well, sorry, yeah, this coming season.
Yeah.
Look, I think the thing with Talem is there's a lot of good things happening at other places that it's not. I don't have to do the trek at this stage. I think if we were still in our drift drought in New South Wales and we didn't have, it was a couple of years ago where we didn't have Wakefield and didn't have Pheasant Wood open now, then I probably would have done a trek down there already.
So I didn't really see the drift drought in New South Wales. It doesn't. It wasn't.
No, it was shit.
The amount of events they're running at Wakefield wasn't that high. The people that complained about it didn't really attend those events. So.
Yeah, but I guess at the time I had only just sort of got into the big track stuff, and then all of a sudden we sort of had the South Circuit events, but you sort of could do that track and feel like you're a king, and then go to an actual proper track and then realize how bad you were. And that was sort of it. And, that's why I went and did my first season of DCA, and you realize how bad of a driver you are when you've been stuck with just doing figure 8.
Yeah, so. I think that's one thing with I mean, it's not so bad these days, but it felt like a lot of people were just hanging out at the wet pan, and then hanging out at the peanut, and that was it in New South Wales. And they weren't venturing any further from that, and they just sort of, I don't know, pretty stagnant, I think, for a little while.
Yeah, and you're just hard to learn technique at that stage. You know how to slide a car. Once the car's settled, that's the easy part, but the hard part's learning how to approach different corners on entry. So
yeah, but there were still events around you, like Rally. I don't think ever stopped. So you could go up there.
But it's
a bit far away, but it's still New South Wales.
Yeah, but it's a big track.
There's only Wakefield that stopped running events, running drifting, because South Circuit, they were trying to run drifting. It was a bit funny, but it's still, no one turned up. Like, not no one, the numbers were way too low. And so then people wouldn't go. I don't know why they didn't go. But
the South Circuit event?
Yeah.
Their numbers weren't low. They stopped doing it because they fucking had falling out with the track.
No, the numbers were low.
No, that was before Wakefield shut down. That was before I came home.
Oh, really?
I'm talking, the South Circuit events I'm talking about were the high-tech ones. You're talking about the...
Oh, no, I'm not talking about high-tech ones. No.
Yeah, you're talking about Australian Drift Club and driving sport and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's even pre-2000 and sort of 14.
So people were... I mean, they weren't going anyway. They were just sticking to the wet pan to peanut.
No, I get that. But I just mean from a driving technical point of view, there was a bit of a drought with being able to, if you actually wanted to improve, being able to improve. So
yeah, it wasn't. It's not. Yeah, it was overhyped. I think it's all publicity stunt for some people.
Yeah.
Not for everyone, but
just going to chime in on Jake and Logan's comments. I think figure 8 doesn't give you a proper. You're not doing a full-blown flick entry into figure 8 because it's a fairly bowl-styled corner. Plus the fact if you cook it and you want to push yourself really hard, then you write your car off. So you can't do anything too extreme on figure 8. Archie, don't think the drivers are too stagnant because that just sort of comes down to their attitude more than the track doing that to them, because there's definitely different ways to approach different sections of the track. You can definitely just power skid the whole track and not throw the car that hard and get comfortable that way, but it's definitely more chuckable than the figure eight. And you definitely learn entries a lot better there than you would on figure eight, because there's a couple of spots that you can do drift entry style flicks in different radius type corners, as opposed to always being the same style corner. Figure eight, you're always digging out of a corner too. You sort of, the first corner you sort of check up, and then you sort of drive fast through the corner, and then the next two corners you're digging out of the corner. There's no flow. You sort of check the car up and then power skid out. Check the car up, power skid out. Where Archie flows, QR, same deal. That's just drivers not approaching the place properly, and just wanting to sort of do mungies and all sorts of shit in funny places. We get the same thing when we're at Calder Park and guys are doing mungies in second gear the whole way up the front straight before entry. So that's me more saying that the track doesn't even lend itself to being able to be driven in a different way with figure eight, where all those other tracks named still have. That's just drivers choosing to not, or not understanding that there are different ways to try and do things, and it definitely better prepares you for other tracks if you do a better job of it.
Well, with figure eight, what I did sort of find was if you use a ripple strip, that you can kind of get that throwy entry.
Yeah,
into the first corner. It's rough.
And there's two massive risks. One is either that you'll DB'd and it's a pain in the ass driving off the track and then going and waiting again to go back on track. And number two is if you totally cook it and the car doesn't actually rotate for you, then you're going head on into a fucking wall.
Yeah, I think that wall wasn't there when I was doing it, so.
Now the wall's been pushed back up onto the hill now, but still you still carry enough speed if you're really on it to end up in the wall.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And that's not me knocking it to say that it's not a fun place to just go and have a thrash, but that's me saying that it's just not a great training ground for anything more than feeling comfortable sliding a car. So.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm sure we'll do something early next year, depending on what happens. Driving Sport just announced that South Circuit's being canned for the first day of their New Year's event next weekend. Just not enough numbers, but you can still do North on the first day and then South on the second, or choose to do one of those days and all that sort of stuff. This weekend, I think there's an entourage of guys coming down from Newey for Pheasant Wood.
Yeah.
Saturday's going to be hot as fuck, so if your plan was to go drifting anywhere on Saturday in New South Wales, probably not a great idea. Sunday's supposed to be a whole bunch cooler, so that should be okay. Yeah, anything else you want to touch on?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so I guess going into next year, we'll see what happens. I guess we thank everybody for their support over the last 2 years. We'll sort of see where we go with it. EG's got some projects in the background. I'm looking at potentially getting a project in the background, so we'll see sort of what happens with everything, and we'll keep you guys updated on what's happening.
Maybe we can get consider adding another host.
Yeah, if somebody else wants to fucking do it, we'll sell the We'll sell the brand. Look, the first person who shows up with a six-figure, and that's a six-figure after, before the decimal point, we'll go for it.
No less.
You'd be down for that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
consider
we might
it.
take.
We
might take.
it. Yeah.
We might take less, but it depends on the offer. But if it's got a number and then at least 5 more zeros before the decimal point, I think we'd be gone. Now there's going to be a GoFundMe that's please kill kill Clutch Kick, and they're just going to try and get enough money to tell us to fuck off. So yeah, all right, let's sign this one off, and
Cool. Okay.
we'll probably see all you lovely people in the new year.
Yep. Cool. All right. We'll see you guys next year.